Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on May 16th, 2016. And, well, what can you say? This is the final Raw before the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And I'm going to say there were some good parts, but there was also some relatively bad parts as well. I'm going to try to go through all the show as much as possible. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Big Cass and what ended up being a Devon Dudley match. They started off this portion basically continuing on with their feud from before with Big Cass, or not with Big Cass, but with the Dudleys, trying to get like an easier match from Stephanie and Shane, where they're like, why don't you let the show like what two attitude people can do, because of the whole new era thing and everything like that. And it ended out that Stephanie and Shane were like, yeah, we won't give you some local tag team, we're going to give you Big Cass, and one of you has to pick who's going to actually face off. The match ended up pretty much, the match itself, well, before the match, obviously Big Cass was coming out there talking a little bit of smack about the Dudley Boys, came up with a couple pretty good ones out of it, a couple rather funny lines, and then before he could get off his normal catchphrase, gets interrupted by the Dudleys. It ends out Devon's going to be the person that would face him, and Big Cass wins pretty quickly after a whole distraction start and everything in that aspect. Overall, not too bad. Ends with Big Cass getting off his catchphrase, the soft catchphrase through there. Overall, not a horrible segment, but pretty much a nothing match, leading nothing into the pay-per-view. Matter of fact, a good chunk of this show had, oddly enough, nothing to do really with the pay-per-view itself, which is kind of interesting. This brings me into another point here. It looks like they're going to continue on with this whole Becky Lynch and Dana Brooke with Dana Brooke now, because unfortunately Emma is going to be out with what seems to be a back surgery injury, and hopefully she gets well soon and is able to come back in good health. Not to say she has to rush back or anything like that, but hopefully she gets to come back in good health there. But it looks like they're going to try to carry on with this whole thing with Becky Lynch. What they were doing with Emma and Becky Lynch, now with Dana Brooke. They had Dana go over on Becky in this one with kind of a fluky roll-up win. To be honest, in this match, I've seen Dana Brooke do pretty good in the ring. She's still rather green and everything in that sense. But I've seen her do better, and she looked a little bit lost out there in the ring tonight. Overall, like, her heel persona and everything like that is still spot on. Like, what she did backstage beforehand and her interactions afterwards were still spot on. But inside the ring, it felt like she was a little bit lost in there, and it made the match come off a little sloppy at times, but overall not bad. And Becky did a good job of getting people behind her throughout the match too. They popped pretty good, and there was a couple of decent moments of heel heat for Dana Brooke as well, so not too bad in that sense. But still, again, the match ended up being a little bit sloppy here, but it is what it is. Another one, and I know I haven't talked about this much in the reviews, but I've seen it throughout the months and months, and oddly enough, this is like their longest building of a storyline to getting a tag team together, and that's the whole Golden Truth thing with R-Truth and Goldust. And tonight was supposed to be their first tag match and everything like that. And they even went through a video package with everything that had happened. Them going, Goldust trying to get him to be a tag partner, and then when R-Truth saw the error of his ways and tried to get it where Goldust was rejecting it, and then you have Fandango go with Goldust and Tyler Breeze go with R-Truth. They got all that put together to probably some of the corniest music possible as well. Like, it was a good video package in the end. And then they have them go up against Tyler Breeze and Fandango. First of all, their entrance starts off with Goldust coming out there, and then it's just R-Truth doing his normal rap. I would have liked to have seen R-Truth change up just a couple words here to try to make a Golden Truth type feeling towards it, like where you don't actually change his normal music, his normal rap out, but change it up to where it just, you get the little snippets of the team. And then, of course, they have a miscommunication, they lose their match. So, and in most cases, as you would see, and I'll even speak with this a little bit later, when you have a team debuting, or anybody debuting, they usually win their first match, though Baron Corbin is one that didn't actually happen with, which is kind of weird in that sense as well, way back. But they did, make it work out in the end with a backstage segment. Fandango and Tyler Breeze actually get in their face, and then it convinces Goldust to continue on with this whole Golden Truth tag team and everything like that. And R-Truth was even like even the fans wanted, the fans even at that time was like, they start chanting Golden Truth, and it ended up being an okay segment there. It wasn't that bad, but I guess it's also different. Like, usually a team or a person goes with adversity after their debut, so they're getting the adversity right off the bat, and that's not a bad way of going, I guess, in this one. It would if they build to anything more with it, it could definitely lead to something good if they decide to build where they go through the adversity right at the beginning to when they become like a good tag team, or if they even go to that route. We'll see where they go with it. We've been pretty much seeing where they've been going with it for the last 5 months, and it's just a continually slow build. Like, this is one of those few storylines that has a slow build for a storyline with WWE, which is very rare nowadays in that sense. And speaking of debuts, Epico and Primo are back, and now they're the shining stars. And what was it that they were going for? Their promo wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but you have a feeling it still might not work. They're like these tourist guides, or these selling of people, like selling of Puerto Rico, going for vacations with Puerto Rico, and something in that sense. They come out there as like, whenever that ring is like our island. I actually like this. The ring was like their island, and whenever they step into the ring, it turns into their homeland of Puerto Rico and everything like that. And they wanted to share this with the world and everything in that sense. Overall, not bad promo. I like these. They've rebooted these guys so many times. I don't know if it would ever even work in any sense of the imagination. The one other thing I ended up liking, and maybe for other debuts, if they really wanted to go that route, maybe they could do the whole aspect of what they did here. They got a local tag team to job. Yeah, they didn't just take other guys that had been on the roster to job. They got local talent to do it. I would like to see that a little bit more within the company, that have the local talent come in and job to people who are debuting or anything like that. And it just gets people, gives them a chance to get over a little bit more, where they can show off their moves or everything in that sense. We'll see how they go with this whole Shining Stars thing. I don't know where they're going to actually go with it, but overall, not bad here, but nothing great. And we've seen what they've done. They've repackaged Epico and Primo so many times, you just don't know what's going to happen with this one. Most people are probably already saying, oh, it's just going to fail, it's just going to fail, it's just going to fail, it's just going to fail. But we'll see where they go with it and see if it actually catches on. I mean, they did things with the New Day where they thought, no, these guys have never caught on before, why would they catch on now? And then now look at them. Speaking of the New Day, we're going to transition right into that. Their segment tonight was they make a lot of people laugh, and they make me laugh a good chunk of the time. This is one of those moments where they really made me laugh for their little time machine segment that they had on the Von Villains. Like, they had talked about the Von Villains, like they're like these throwbacks and everything like that in the good olden days, and Xavier Woods shows off a time machine. Well, I love what Big E does. Like, but this is clearly just an empty refrigerator box, and makes like a semi-underhanded joke about the keyboard being too sticky and everything in that sense. to go along with it. And of course, Xavier was like, hey, no, this is a time machine. Let's all jump into it. We're going to go back to the good olden days. And you get this, like, wacky thing with the camera and everything like that. And then Kofi Kingston jumps out as they're doing it. It goes back to his old Jamaican gimmick for a few seconds. And I love his little spot going there. Xavier comes out. It's like, we haven't gone back far enough yet. No, leave me here. Like Kofi's like, leave me here. These were my best years. And then they go out there. I like how they use the black and white screen for this one too. It made it feel more of a TV show versus just like you get the feeling of a more TV show type feel from that. And then of course they get attacked by the Von Villains and there to garner their heat. I thought the segment was funny. I thought it was the right way to have the Von Villains come out there and actually garner the upper hand in this case, as they had been in the upper hand for the most part, but after getting, like, they made fun of the Von Villains and everything in that sense. It was probably best for the Von Villains to go out there and get that instead of, like, nothing happening, or they came out there and New Day actually gets the advantage in there. I liked where they went with this. We'll see how the match goes Sunday. I kind of like the build this week, and I love that segment. It was just a lot of fun. So it was a lot of fun to watch overall. I'm not going to lie there. Up next to talk about was the Rusev Kalisto storyline. Kalisto comes out for a match, and it ends up being against Alberto Del Rio. So initially watching, it's like, okay, nothing's happening, and then they eventually show Sin Cara in the back just watching, which leads you to believe, okay, something's going to happen there, which it does. Rusev attacks Sin Cara in the back, kind of, and the aspect that I liked about this is that they even cut to the camera where Alberto Del Rio is holding down, or like holding against the ropes, Kalisto, forcing him to watch it. It's like great heel tactic right there. Force this guy to watch his buddy getting beaten up, and then Rusev starts dragging him off. The match continues on. And, of course, Rusev ends up bringing Sin Cara out there, starts beating him up a little bit more. This is where I kind of, like, this is where I have a little nitpick with Kalisto. Is like, okay, that's supposed to be your buddy. Now he's out here. And it takes him a good minute to even truly recognize that he's out there in any way, shape, or form. Which doesn't, I mean, they eventually do lead to the distraction, and it causes Kalisto to lose the match to Del Rio here. What in the final aspects of it was Rusev gaining the upper hand on Kalisto a little bit more by attacking him afterwards. Puts him in the accolade, which they like. Rusev made this one look a little bit more particularly brutal looking, just on the aspect of trying to get that grasp between, you know, Rusev's the stronger guy, and Kalisto's usually the smaller guy. So they're trying to get Kalisto, of course, again, over as the underdog in this case. We'll see how the match goes off. I mean, Rusev's good in the ring and everything, and Ryback and Kalisto last month put on a really good match. I could expect that they're going to put on a good match with Sunday at the pay-per-view as well. So we'll see how everything goes with there. I'm just trying to gain everything here. Okay, here we go. I do have some notes right in front of me. Just as a heads up. Next one I wanted to talk up against was they announced a Cesaro versus Sami Zayn match, which ended almost immediately, because The Miz and Kevin Owens were out there doing commentary, and Kevin Owens, I love the banter between The Miz and Kevin Owens. That was some really good stuff that I liked there inside of that, and you would see even more banter later on that was really good as well. Which, you know, they end that match abruptly. It's like big brawl. Shane comes out, Stephanie comes out. Initially, it was going to be made Sami Zayn and Cesaro versus Miz and Kevin Owens, but Stephanie comes out and switches it up. It's like, you know what? Based off of what happened on SmackDown, I love the aspect that they used of what happened on SmackDown. Sami Zayn accidentally kicks Cesaro, so they switch the teams up, and it's The Miz and Cesaro, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I like that aspect. The better aspect is that how well these guys played off of that. because, okay, you got a heel and a face and a heel and a face. So these teams are not supposed to get along at all, and they don't get along the entire time. It's pretty much blind tags in and out. You have Kevin Owens doing banter to Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn doing banter to Kevin Owens, those two trying to one-up each other, and the other ones, like when they're in trouble, is berating them the entire time. The match was done really well for what they were going for, and they even threw the stipulation in there because... you would go off the aspect as like, well, why didn't Kevin Owens just walk out or one of the other guys walk out? Well, Kevin Owens is known for doing that, especially on the SmackDown shows. Like, he walks out of on his tag partner. So Stephanie's like, if you walk out of this match, you're not going to Extreme Rules. And that's how they got rid of that. I actually like that aspect because they threw it in there as like, we want this to be a competitive match. But we know he doesn't normally do it. Nice little bit there. I actually like this one. This was a really, really well done spot on the show, and it came off really, really good in my mind. So both and it sets up for the end with for the Intercontinental title match. Kevin Owens goes over in the end after Sami Zayn pins the Miz. Kevin Owens kicks him in the face, stands over basically everyone, claiming he won, and all that kind of normal heel tactic type stuff. Came off pretty good. I liked where they went with everything. The banter between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was great. The banter between Miz and Kevin Owens as well. Cesaro's stuff was done really well. I liked how both teams interacted with each other in the terms of not getting along, but still sticking to the tag match area because it was all blind tags and no one was trying to save the other and everything like that. They just did a really good job with this match, at least in my own personal opinion. Up next, I wanted to talk about the AJ Styles Roman Reigns storyline. At the beginning of the show, they announced the Usos versus Anderson and Gallows again. I say again because they've done it a lot, and they've been doing it on SmackDown, and they're doing it on Raw. They've already had one before the Payback pay-per-view and everything like that as well. So they re-announced the match again. The promo between Styles and Roman Reigns at the beginning of the show. First of all, you have Styles coming out there saying he's getting sick and tired of people calling him a liar about, like, all these guys are here is to make sure I win the title and everything like that. It's like, and he doesn't necessarily try to prove that that's not the case, but he does get interrupted by Roman Reigns in there. And of course, Roman's calling him just calling him a liar, that he only has these guys here to make sure he wins the title, everything like that. Roman's getting booed out of the building this week. It was a lot better last week where he wasn't booed so much. You could actually tell the mixed reaction. This week, not so much in that case. And this is the weird thing about that. They've been, obviously, because they are family, the Usos and Roman Reigns, they've been teaming up. And before then, the Usos weren't really getting booed all that much. But now, with Roman Reigns being around, or them being around Roman Reigns more, they're starting to get booed more and 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 more. But but leading into the match, because obviously the Anderson and Gallows come out, and then the Usos come out, and that leads to a little bit of a schmoz at the beginning of the show for the promo, and then of course this eventually leads into the actual match between Anderson, Gallows, and the Usos. Good match. We've seen it. We've seen it before. Basically, everything that you need to know happened after this match, which was it ended up in a big brawl again. But what I liked was, like, you had the chair in the middle of the ring. You have AJ Styles there. And he does have the chair, and he said beforehand, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to hesitate if I get a chance to waylay you with a chair. But again, he has the chance with a chair, and he hesitates again. Like, he does the more facious thing. Like, he goes for the chair shot, but Roman Reigns punches him, and immediately just goes for the chair and just gets a couple shots in on AJ Styles, who eventually does retort after Anderson and Gallows are redispatched again in there, and then ends the entire thing with a Styles clash on the chair. So they put AJ over in that sense, or he gets his heat in that sense here. The match, like I said, was a relatively good match, but we've seen it before. Everything you needed to know was after the match, and that was actually pretty good. That came off pretty decently here. So this leads, I'm going to double check everything. Oh, I better not miss this one. The aspect between Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose. This either has the potential of being pretty good or really, really bad. We'll see where they go with it. Obviously, Jericho's wanting an apology for the loss of his jacket and everything like that. And, of course, Dean Ambrose is going out there to call him out. And when, of course, Jericho gets out there, it's like, I want my apology. It's like, that's not going to happen. And they go off on this on a banter for a little while. I like how Jericho goes on an aspect of, I've been through so many Extreme Rules matches. I'm crazier than you are. And everything like that. You call yourself a lunatic. I've been in every single... Jericho's like, I'm even crazier. I've been through every single one of these type of matches, every single opponent, beaten everybody. And then they lower a steel cage. Because the match is authorized as what is now being called an asylum match. So, think of Lethal Lockdown, basically, in a way. Because they have weapons on the top. You have a straitjacket up there. They had some like weird ones in there. They even had like a rehashing of Mitch the Potted Plant up there to go along with it. And they had like a mop, but they also had things like leather belts, kendo sticks, things like that. You have all those things inside there. They're having this aspect of a different style of a steel cage match. The one thing that I'm liking about this is that they're getting rid of the escape rules. Like normal steel cage matches, you can win by escaping through the door or over the top or pinfall or submission. They're getting rid of those altogether. It's only the pinfall or submission. I like that aspect. We'll see how the rest of the match plays out, though. This one leaves me a little bit worried. Like, I like the promo between the two of them, but the whole aspect of this added stuff with the steel cage leaves me a little bit worried. But we'll see how everything plays off on the pay-per-view, and we'll see where everything goes with that. Otherwise, relatively good promo from both of these guys. I liked where they went with this storyline in that sense. Promo-wise, they did really good. The match stip might be a little bit out there, but we'll see where they go with it. So this does bring me into what was the final portion of the night. No, they didn't end the night with the whole Roman Reigns and AJ Styles thing. They ended it with the Charlotte and Natalya, and they promoted it throughout the entire night too. Maybe not necessarily as the ending of the show, but like they promoted it a lot throughout the night that they were going to do the contract signing with Charlotte and Natalya for the submission match at the pay-per-view. Obviously, being in North Carolina, that's probably why they did it as in the main event slot, being in the North Carolina area. First of all, you got obviously you got the typical Shane McMahon Stephanie banter to go along with everything, where like Shane would do the "I'll put my hand over you and my hand over me, boo yay, boo yay." Okay, you got that. But the thing that I really liked about this one was Charlotte. Charlotte in like not necessarily hometown, but in home state, in an area where like Flairs never get booed, she was getting heel heat and working the crowd over to get that heel heat the entire time. And she did a really good job here. You had Natalya come out there and was like, where was the Charlotte from NXT and everything like that? That's the one she wants to face and potentially beat at the pay-per-view. She doesn't think Charlotte's even as good as she was in NXT and everything on that aspect. Good stuff from there. I liked what they had for that. The only aspect that I would have liked is that they would have kept the focus fully around Charlotte and Natalya. Like, it eventually led to more, a little bit of Ric Flair and the McMahons in that sense. But I like the reaction to Charlotte is like, they added an extra stipulation was, if anything really wonky happens or Ric Flair even steps foot into the, not into the arena, but into the ring area, on the rampway or anything, that Charlotte would automatically lose the title. So you have that aspect of getting rid of Ric Flair throughout the entire match. The only thing that they didn't do this entire time, and it's like their one little oversight from the whole screw job thing, they didn't ban Charles Robinson from being the referee because he potentially screwed over Natalya before. So what are they going to do with that in there? Maybe they'll just secretively, or like, and if you notice, like detail wise, maybe they don't have Charles Robinson ref the match or something like that at the pay-per-view itself. We'll see where they go with that aspect. It's the one thing they really haven't touched on over the last couple weeks. So we'll see where they go with it. In that sense, it pretty much ended with, and the segment pretty much ended with Stephanie McMahon slapping Ric Flair after he goes like bonkers on Shane and everything like that, and like Shane's trying to hold back and everyone's holding back. It's like, you may, and Stephanie gives off this line like, "You may respect Ric Flair, but I don't," and then just slaps him like she slaps everybody apparently in that sense. So obviously Charlotte gets angry. It looks like she's going to go after Stephanie, gets snagged up by Natalya, and they end the night with Natalya putting in the sharpshooter, Charlotte tapping out, and then of course Natalya holding up the women's title. So they brought it back, but like there was that portion of the segment that it kind of got away from the Charlotte and Natalya thing, which it should have been the main focus throughout the entire thing, but they bring it back at the end. Overall, the segment was a pretty good segment. It was actually pretty good in the end. All parties did really well here, and it came off really good. They really did go out there and put their work in to make sure that it was worthy of being that final segment of the show. And I love the aspect of Charlotte actually was able to get heel heat in like a home state area and everything like that. Like the fans were legitimately booing her inside of that area, so she did a really good job in that aspect. Overall, this Monday Night Raw wasn't bad. Like I said, there were some ups, there were some downs, and like there's even nitpicking in what was good as well to begin with, like throughout that you saw throughout the entire thing to go along with it. That ended up being a little bit bad, but doesn't really hurt it all that much. It doesn't fall under meh. It falls under okay. It falls under okay to semi-good, but like I said, there's some bad in there too. We'll see how they go with everything. Like I think they announced, like just briefly glanced over. They don't even show up in the show that the pre-show match is going to be Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin again. It's like how many more times is Baron Corbin going to have to face Dolph Ziggler in any way, shape, or form? And where are they going with Baron Corbin? Like you said, he doesn't even show up on the show tonight in any way. So we'll see where that goes as well. But like I said, Raw was all right. Wasn't bad. It had good. It had bad in it too. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong there. So that is my review for Monday Night Raw this week, and I thank you guys for watching.